The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Dave, you might be happy to know that there has just been a new Doom game. Doom was, of course, considering my age, Dave's age, we saw it all when it came to computer video games, and we saw that whole thing unfold. Doom was one of the original first-person shooters, a game that changed everything.
Right.
And I played it back in the day. I was a huge fan of it.
Yep.
Were you?
I was, and a couple funny things. In the last month, I, number one, stumbled across, now a lot of these old games, you can just, just a basic internet browser is sophisticated enough to render the entire game in a Flash window. So I actually played the original Doom. It didn't really hold up. I have to tell you, the graphics are so bad. The pixels are huge, and I was shocked because some older games still hold up for me, like Super Mario Brothers still holds up. I can't say Doom still held up, although I understand the impact and importance of it at the time. When we were in New York City recently for this panel I did, Ben Dixon was walking around with me, and we saw some big advertising for the new Doom game, and he asked if I played that game growing up, so we actually had a conversation about Doom.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, it really does not hold up for me. There were plenty of games that came out around then, back then, that do.
Right.
It's just that Doom isn't one of them. And, well, you know, that happens. I mean, at the time, it was just, there was nothing like it. It was a completely new experience, and, okay, whatever. So, there was a Doom 3, I think it was called, which came out years ago at this point. People made a big deal about that. I mean, it was a pretty good game. It had more scripted events in it, I believe, than any other game that had come before it. And a lot went into the production of that game. But now we have Doom again. And people are telling me it's great. People are telling me it is a really, really intelligently designed game, really fun and well done. And it seems that the creators did not hold back when putting Easter eggs in the game.
Huh.
You know, what is an Easter egg, for those who don't know? It's just something that's kind of hidden that might not be related to the game, that you can kind of discover on your own accidentally. You might discover it, or if you seek it out. In this case, people took some of the music from the game and put it in their audio editing software, ran it through a spectrograph. Who
would even think to do that, by the way?
Gamers.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this might be a leaked Easter egg.
I don't think so.
Okay.
They're usually pretty good about this type of thing. People do this. I mean, it may have been that someone wanted to put this in their editing software, happened to have the spectrograph running, and just wanted to whatever.
Yeah. And
when you do that, you will see that based on the way the song progresses, in the spectrograph, 666 will appear, followed by a pentagram, and then another 666 and a pentagram. And this was clearly deliberate.
Yeah.
But this type of attention to detail and these little things that get hidden in games, I love that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there? You're big on the flight simulator. Is any of this type of thing, or how many Easter eggs are there in the flight
I think there are some. I mean, I think there's more in like the Grand Theft Auto games, which I've played all but the newest of. Yeah, I can't think offhand though of any in either, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what else they added into this,
yeah.
But that is a pretty cool one. So anyway, Doom, it's back. If you've played it and it's great, tell me. Okay, we've been talking about the TSA a lot lately, and we've been talking about the lines, the security lines, the checkpoints. We know there is not enough. It's a resource allocation problem, and TSA just seems to be understaffed at airports, perhaps deliberately, as we've discussed before. But what I've just learned is that during this election cycle, there have been a ton of TSA agents that have been relocated to political rallies.
And indeed, I've seen when we were looking at going to some rallies, when I was looking at the media info, it would say, you will have to go through TSA screening to go in. And I said, well, must be TSA type screening. But it appears as though it's actually TSA.
in looking at this picture, I mean, it's essentially no different from what happens at an airport.
Yeah.
And it's the TSA agents. They have the metal detectors.
I wonder if 95% of banned items also get through when the TSA does security at political events.
Oh, no doubt. And, I mean, this has got to be part of why the problem has been so bad as of late, right? There aren't
Yeah.
as many political rallies as before, but now we're doing this. What the hell is going on?
It's completely insane, and I wonder if you can opt for a pat down when you have TSA at a political rally as well. I could see that getting a little bit touchy with a lot of people. I mean, if you think of the average airport crowd and compare it to the average Trump crowd, I don't know how many people there are going to like the pat downs that I've received anyway.
In April and May, Secret Service asked for over 1,500 TSA agents to assist in campaign events. Bernie had about 755 agents present at his rallies.
Right.
That is incredible. You know, I guess if there's a silver lining here, it's that we didn't invest in private security at all of these events. And
Yeah,
run up a
okay.
huge bill.
Lewis finding the silver lining. Yeah, I guess you're right.
But you know, it's
You're digging deep.
I'm digging pretty deep, and we all suffer at airports because of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. There's and how effective is it really? I mean, it's just theater.
A lot of it is just theater. Yeah, we've shown that. I mean, when you run a test and 95% of the banned trial items that you're testing security with get through, you have a real problem. And it led to a higher up at TSA resigning. It might have been the director, I don't remember, but certainly a higher up. Yeah, the entire thing is just such a farce. And we've talked about it so many times. It's frustrating. And at its core, it's also really concerning because it would be great if we had a more effective system, right? The type of system that Israel has, which some people say can't be replicated in the U.S. Israel has one major airport. The U.S. has so many that you can't possibly scale it. I don't know for sure that I buy that, but I don't know.
I mean, we have. Okay, there's some noise happening above us.
There is.
Never ends in this building. We have the money to do it. We have. We can cut money from other places.
Yeah.
Not PBS, where everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, big bird.
Defense spending. But no one wants to do that. We could definitely have a real security system at airports. But instead, we opt to just lie to people about their safety.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. King Tut, a source of endless fascination for people all over the world. The 18-year-old ancient Egyptian king, well, died at 18. Tutankhamun is the full name. It has just been discovered that he was buried with a dagger made from a meteor.
A meteorite.
Iron. What?
A meteorite.
A meteorite? What's the difference?
I think meteorites are smaller, right? I saw a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing on this.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right. Anyway, researchers from Milan Polytechnic, Pisa University, and the Egyptian Museum in Cairo used X-ray fluorescence spectrometry to determine the composition of the knife without damaging it.
And to correct Lewis, meteoroid is a small particle from an asteroid or comet orbiting the sun. Meteor is a meteoroid that is observed burning up as it enters Earth's atmosphere. And meteorite is a meteoroid that survives and actually ends up on the surface. So it's not about size. It's about, does it burn up in the Earth's atmosphere? Do we just see it outside of the atmosphere, or does it make it to the surface of the Earth?
Okay. And they just happen to all be pretty small when they finally hit the surface.
Typically.
All right. Good to know. So the all-encompassing term is meteoroid.
Right.
Wow. Now, there's a word I don't think I've ever used.
Wow.
Have you?
Just now.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, they use this, a spectrometry to figure out what the composition of it.
Right.
And sure enough, it was, that's what it was. And there's a quote here from researcher Daniela Comelli. Only one meteorite named Karga turned out to have nickel and cobalt contents, which are possibly consistent with the composition of the blade. The meteorite fragment was found in 2000 on a limestone plateau about 150 miles west of Alexandria. I mean, it's not that surprising that when you stumble across something like that, especially in the ancient world, you attribute some sort of magical property to it, and it becomes, something that King Tut is buried with.
What would be interesting to know is, what did they believe this to be at the time?
I think they knew what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite certain. They were astronomers, and I mean, they knew things about the stars that we still don't know. It's pretty incredible.
Well, if they knew them, how don't we know them?
Maybe it's that we couldn't figure out how they knew them. Anyway, you know how the temples were aligned and certain. I mean, it is possible they knew things we didn't know.
Wow.
How would we know that? Maybe just because of the way they did build those things. Things like I don't know. But
you don't know how we might not know how they knew certain things, is what you're saying.
I don't recall remembering.
Yeah.
Channeling what's his face?
Alberto Gonzalez.
Yeah, what an ass. Anyway,
were your parents undocumented? You know, I've looked at it, Wolf, and I just don't know the answer to that question. Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, what a guy. So these meteorite objects were considered extremely valuable in ancient Egypt. Cool stuff. I am fascinated by all that ancient Egyptian stuff, and it's a shame that I can't really go and observe it. Right?
Dangerous right now.
Not a good time. That time has passed. I think it will be dangerous for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, way back in the day, I believe it was the first emperor of China was fed when he had some type of maybe he wasn't even ill yet. The Chinese attributed some type of magical property to mercury, and they started feeding him mercury.
Wow.
And wow, a lot of noise. The mercury started driving him mad, and so they give him more mercury, and it's just crazy.
That is insane, based on what we know now, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we used to sell radioactive water, and there were companies that would sell radioactive water.
As if it was a good thing.
As if it was somehow magical or medicinal.
Yeah. Remember growing up when our parents would let us play with mercury?
I remember none of that.
No, but our parents' generation, I think it was more common that you were allowed to play with mercury because, it stays together. It's unique in terms of its liquid properties.
Yes.
And when my grandfather who was a dentist, he would use mercury fillings for much of his career. Eventually we figured out that you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's we've come a long way. We really have.
But arguably not far enough.
Oh, definitely not far enough. No, we've got about hundreds of thousands of years to go before we actually start figuring things out.
There you go.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.